Well, it's builder blog time. It's post Norwalk Havoc builder blog time, and I realize I'm redlining my mic. Let me just turn that down a little bit, right about there. Yeah, we're in the green now. Yeah, there we go. I'm doing it a little differently. In the previous builder blogs, the team freaking awesome builder blogs, in the previous ones, I have sat down with a GoPro at my workbench. And I'm just too tired to deal with my GoPro. I'm here at my computer using my webcam for my normal live streaming setup to talk about that. And I do remember, I do know in a couple of my other builder blogs I mentioned, I'm going to do something different and I'm not going to have a post-Norwalk video. And then I ended up getting really busy between last week when I forgot to upload the video on Monday. And so I had to upload it as soon as I got home from work. But I got really busy. Excuse me. I got really busy between recording that video and yesterday when I got off the plane. I just didn't have time to edit the video like I originally wanted to. So I'm doing this instead to kind of tide everything over. And my hair is a mess because I went to bed with my hair still wet. I came home, took a shower, passed out. So let's talk Norwalk Havoc January, New Year, new robots, and how well Team Freaking Awesome did and how well we didn't do. And boy, was it a time. This is one of the front plows that's left of Offbeat. Yeah, it's seen some better days. This is the one that was brand new, never been used, never been painted. It was only ever painted red. And this is the one that in every builder blog you've seen so far, Offbeat has been wearing. It's got the little face there that we had some stickers made. My very amazing partner, she made some Offbeat stickers there. My badge. Team freaking awesome, and then my little fox, and then the silver star is actually from passing safety, and then Offbeat. But then one of the complaints that, and I've seen a lot of people make, is these badges. I've never gotten a badge before for an event, so I don't know, but these badges are pretty big, but it's also really cool, and it got folded a little bit during one of the fights when I was celebrating a victory, so we'll get to that when we get to it. But I was a little upset, like, oh no, it's folded. Oh, it was folded because I was celebrating. But yeah, this is one of the front plates, and we're like, oh, we got to replace that one. That one's pretty chewed up. And then there's what's left of this front plate. This is pretty badly bent. We'll get to how the robot got to this state here. But before we actually take a look at any of the video, and unfortunately I didn't record any video. I was more focused on, working on the robot and getting it ready for every single fight that it went to, and trying not to have a panic attack all day long. That I didn't really get to record as much video as I wanted to. So we're actually going to cut over to the Norwalk stream. I already have the timestamps for all of our videos, and we're gonna watch the fight, and I'm gonna kind of talk a little bit about the fight. And before we get into it, though, I do want to talk about some of the stuff that really worked really well with Offbeat, and some of the things that didn't work very well. Our drive has always been super fast, which has made Offbeat just ridiculously hard to drive. And I say ridiculously hard to drive because I know what I'm doing. I've been driving it enough that I can handle it, but it's definitely not just push stick forward. It's, do this, do that. All these little subtleties to get the robot to behave in a way. And I'm actually really happy with the drive. I think the drive goes really fast. We were having problems with the ESCs, and last week I replaced the ESCs with some new ones. I strongly believe that the programming on these new ESCs, they're the same ones. They're the BL Heli 32s. They're the same ones that we had been previously using, but I think the programming on these replacement ones was off, and the robot was not as responsive. It was very twitchy, during drive, and there were some times where the left side drive would, when pushing the stick forward, the left side drive would activate before the right side drive every single time, which meant a lot of times you see the robot make a very abrupt right turn into the wall right at the start of the fight. That's not me turning the robot in the wall. That's me thinking, go straight, push stick forward, and the robot's in the wall. And I could not compensate for it. I could not wire my brain to compensate for that. I just had too much going on. And it also was why we didn't get as many big hits as we went, because I just couldn't line up shots as well as I could. So for all of our fights, our drive wasn't as good as it had been. And I would say our drive was, this is probably the worst our drive has ever been. And it was only, I strongly believe it was only those ESCs. Time will tell. I have ordered a ESC programmer. I'm going to pull the configuration off of these ESCs and off the old ones. I'm going to do some side-by-side driving tests and stuff to really dial in and confirm, or to confirm if that is in fact the case, if those ESCs are the issue. The other thing that kept happening is, so you see here on the robot we have a hole right here in this metal plate. That's not damaged. That's a hole that's drilled through. And what it is our front wheel. I'm going to hold the robot like this. There's an axle that goes through this hole, through the front, or screw that goes through this hole, through the wheel, and into the body of the robot. And that's our front axle, which also helps hold this armor on. We've got the 4 bolts up front. We got 2 here and 2 here. And then we have 1 on either side. Well, what would happen is we'd get hit right here on these bumps. Now, these bumps are designed to do 2 things: to go around the front wheel, but also to act kind of as a little bit of a corralling system. So if our weapon system goes down, I can use my really fast and powerful drive and this scoop to just push you wherever I want to push you. Well, what was happening is we would get hit. I'm actually going to grab this other one. We would get hit right here, and this aluminum would act like a spring, and it would torque like this, and it would put a lot of force on that bolt. Now, during Sin City street fights, we were running TPU wheels. The TPU is squishy, and here is a TPU wheel, and this is a TPU, and you can kind of see that I can get a little bit of flex and squish out of that wheel, right? Well, the front wheels, that's what we were running during Sin City street fights, and when we would get that hit, that wheel would squish a little bit. You can kind of see right here, this gear that is sticking out right here, this is our drive motor. And when our wheel is on, our wheel sits right here, and the wheel has teeth on the outside of it. It meshes with that drive gear, and that's how we transfer power from the motor to the wheel, right? My hand's in the way. I can see it on my hand. I'm not used to doing this. You can see it's turning that motor. Well, what happens is I'm going to hold this side up. We would get hit right here. This would flex, right? So now our wheel that's here is being pushed very hard in this direction. Being pushed very hard this way, right? Because that bolt is being forced in this direction. All of that force and energy is going right into this gear and this shaft into our motor. Now, the TPU wheels, they could squish a little bit and absorb some of that, and it actually acted like a little bit of a shock absorber to protect the motor. These Onyx wheels didn't do that. And so we would get hit right there, and these are one of our drive motors. There should be a shaft sticking out of the top of there. They would shear that shaft off, and I would lose one side of the drive. One good hit to our bumper, to our little scoopy bumper here, and you could knock out our entire drive side. Now, we've already talked some different ideas. One idea that we had, that actually my roommate had when we came home, and I told him what was happening, was to make this hole here oval. So it's no longer holding the bolt laterally, it's only holding it vertically. which would allow this plate to move like this, independent of that bolt, which I think is a great idea. I wish we had thought of it in the moment, and I would have gone down to the machine shop, gotten a saw, and gone and made that an oval hole. Didn't think of it. I haven't jiggled my mouse, and my computer monitor went off. Another idea that we have, we're going to redesign these wheels to make them even lighter. I'm really happy with these Onyx wheels. These Onyx wheels were printed by Bunny, Bunny from Team Malice, who did sponsor us by 3D printing us some wheels. Big sticker right there. These wheels performed phenomenally. They are gorgeous prints. Like even if you're not into like combat robots and you're just doing cosplay stuff, I'm pretty sure her printer is high enough resolution. It doesn't show up too well on camera how beautiful and smooth. Like, there is no print line on this wheel. There would be if you wanted to make a cosplay part and you wanted to get something printed from her through like the Onyx or some of her other stuff, there'd be very little finishing work you'd have to do, just even for cosplay. But her wheels worked fantastic. In fact, we only lost one. And by that I mean only one of the Onyx wheels took sufficient damage where it had to be replaced. And that was, I believe, during our spectroscope fight. He got a good hit on one of the wheels and shattered the teeth area. Or no, maybe it was No, it wasn't that. It was Mr. Scrubbles who shattered it, because I took the wheel off to replace it, and I went over to his pit area and I gave it to him. I'm like, dude, you're the first person to damage one of our wheels. Here you go. So he has one of our wheels as a battle trophy. But we were taking some beatings. I mean, this is one of our TPU rear wheels, and you can see that titanium cleat is bent. Here's one of our other Onyx wheels. And this is actually, this that's flaking up is the TPU spacer. So we have the Onyx wheel, and then a TPU spacer between the titanium cleat and the spring steel cleat on the outside. And I think that was a good call, putting the spring steel on the outside. It survived a lot of hits, but this one even, like, it's pretty banged up. This one too. But again, this one, there's only a little bit of damage here, right? It's kind of, the camera doesn't have autofocus, but there's only a little bit of damage to the Onyx right here. Like, this wheel probably would have kept going for several more fights. I think I still replaced it, but, you know, if you have spares, replace them and then set aside the ones that are still kind of good. That's my theory on it. But yeah, these Onyx wheels that Bunny printed us held up really well. Our TPU wheels, they held up really well. I mean, everything on this robot held up really, really well. Our frame, this is the only significant damage to the frame, is this chunk right here, which I'm pretty sure Wicked Twister did this. There's a little gouge right here. I'm not sure how well it shows up on camera. That's from, pretty sure that's from Scrubbles. Our warranty did get voided. Jeremy from Level 5 Robotics, if you're watching, our warranty was voided. I'm sorry. It was my warranty anyway, so but he gets the joke. And also we do have like some cracking right here, and these holes here and here are actually for the rear axles. Both of them are stripped out, but we'll get to that fight when we get to it. Even our aluminum armor plate, I mean, look at that. Our aluminum armor plate stood up. These were some big hits that this thing took, and it kept trucking. Like, Offbeat kept going. We'll get to the fights, and it's, oh my god, it's so great. Yeah, this one got pretty beat up, and Robert goes, oh, we should replace that front plate, and I did, and then I'm like, I should go back to this one. Even our weapons got beat up. Now, Norwalk rules are a little weird. We were allowed to run Offbeat weighed in at 2.99 pounds at Norwalk. We were allowed to run a 1 pound mini bot because Norwalk rules are a little different. So we did have a mini bot, and that mini bot was driven by Price from Team Horizon, Alex Price from Team Horizon, and she did a phenomenal job with that mini bot. Giant Horse Conk is the name. There was a lot of talk in the live stream chat about, oh, what does GHC stand for? And they're like, we can't say it on stream. It was Giant Horse Conk. COHNK. That was its name. It's so dumb. It was also Free Throw. And actually, in fact, it was Free Throw. There were people going, that looks like Free Throw. It was. She bought Free Throw from a West Coast builder named Coleman who built Free Throw. But yeah, her driving that really helped make the difference and made up for the fact that our ESCs were giving us so much drive trouble. And then our weapon belts kept just popping off, which counted as damage. But because of our mini bot and because of the speed of our drive and the durability of our robot in general, minus the weapon belt and the drive motor snapping, we were able to get a lot of control and aggression points, because there's only like one fight where I noticed I'm driving away from the opponent. Almost every time the robot was moving, it was moving towards the opponent. It's like, oh, well, one of us is moving towards it. I might be turning around to reset or get into a better position, but almost every single time I'm driving at them. There's only one fight, and we'll get to it, where you see me driving away and the other guy chasing me, and I'm just like, wait a minute, I'm faster than you. And eventually I'm chasing him. It's hilarious. But let's, where did I put those? I don't know where I put them. I was going to grab all my poker chips. Let's get to our first fight here. So our first fight here, and again, I'm just pulling this right from the live stream. I'm not going to make it all full screen. Well, yeah, let's make it full screen. They did this thing, and I'm not happy. A lot of people weren't happy with it. I'm a little concerned with it, but this split screen thing here. So we're on this side. We've got Ground Control V2, which is this really cool, really big lifter, right? He's got this big front metal plow. He's got a little lifter arm under there. He's got a little mini drone even. And you can see there's already some damage right here. And what had happened was we got put into the arena. Then we heard 3, 2, 1, fight robots fight, and everybody started driving. And then we get one hit in, and the ref goes, oh, wait, that was for the other, or sorry, he didn't say that, but he was like, wait, no, he was trying to stop us, and we didn't realize that was for another arena. So we reset, we let him go back and repair the little bit of damage we did. It was just, we bent the metal, and we reset and waited. So let's go ahead, and I'm just going to, what happens away?
Relax.
Let me turn up my volume so I can hear what they're saying too.
Robots fight.
All right, here we go. So immediately you can see it's a blur. There's Horse Conk. Now, I'm going to call it Free Throw. Now, initially we had a short. This is the bar that is in that fight right there. This UHMW, which is cutting board material bar. We did after this fight, I think, switch to our longer bar configuration for Free Throw, but immediately you can see that Free Throw is out there harassing and gets right by him, and there's offbeat, weapon spinning,
well.
having trouble with that drive. Big hit, big hit.
Control and offbeat.
Oh, can we go back? Look at this. Look at this. So I've already gotten one hit and done some more damage there. All right. And let's just go frame by frame. Horse Conk just flopped around. Look at his little face. Look at his little face. Offbeat. You can barely see that weapon. It's spinning so fast. I was having problems with this weapon in general, so I was only ever running it at like 60% power. Frame. You can kind of see it. Again, so this is the weapon we're running. Our weapon isn't. This part is actually the impactor, and this is just the counterweight. The impactor sticks out further than the counterweight, but the counterweight is bigger, so you see the counterweight before you see the tip of the impactor. So you can kind of see the counterweight right there. Let's go another frame, and then boom, this blur is that front armor plate, and it is peeled off. They're moving. Our cleated wheels were this wood, because it was harder plywood than what we've tested on, plus the layer of paint that they put on, our cleats weren't gripping as intensely as I would have liked. But there goes that, and I'm still driving the robot forward. You can see Price is spinning around to try and get that line up for a push. And then just look at how much of that armor is peeled away. Price there, and then the spinner spinning, and then bam, big hit, big chunk of wheel coming off, big chunk of something flying, another big hit on that armor plate. And even horse conk or even free throw got a little messed up in that, but look at offbeat just planted. And ground control V2 is moving. Now, before I go any further into this fight, I want to say that the team behind ground control V2, Will and all of it looks like it was his entire family, amazing, fantastic people. Like, big shout to them. In fact, oh, the poker chips I was looking for are all right here next to me. So it's hard to see, but this is their poker chip. They are Team 746, I believe is their team name. But that's their hand-drawn poker chip. And, well, I'll show it afterwards. But amazing people. This was only their second ever competition. Their first was with Ground Control V1, and this was their second time. So, I went back to the pits, had a great conversation with them, gave them some pointers and tips and some advice. Look at Offbeat still just spinning his little spinner. Let's keep watching. Going after that armor, going after those wheels. Okay, there's smoke. There's a brief moment where we're like, that smoke was our belt. The belt was slipping. The weapon had actually jammed up on his wheel, and the belt was just slipping. So that's all that smoke is.
Oh, and smoke coming from our...
I'm letting the belt cool down here for a minute. You can see ground control still driving, but you can't get that ground control anymore. And I believe at this point we've actually damaged their lifter mechanism. I don't believe it actually worked after the first initial hit. So he's just trying to survive the driving game right now. Weapons back up to speed on offbeat.
It's actually pretty impressive to see the
there goes a wheel.
in play, and the way these things
Look at
play
that.
out.
Double tap out on the split screen. They did get the announcing wrong here. Ground control tapped out as soon as I got that wheel. That wheel popped off. They tapped. I saw the red light come on as I drove into them for that last hit. And I'm like, the robot was already in motion towards them and hitting them when the red light came on. And I was like, they just tapped. Let's see if it...
As they both tap out at the same time.
Yeah.
Ground control.
You kind
The
of see me
results
like
can be the
super
same,
excited.
even if the progression to get there is very different. But, on the right hand, we saw a control robot going up against a big hitter. And that turns into a battle of durability. It turns into a battle of attrition. Can the control robot stand up to the big punches? And can the offensive robot figure out a way not to destroy itself as the control robot tries to hang it up on the arena and the floor and that sort of thing? On the other hand, two big horizontal spinners go.
Ricky from Team Mammoth, you heard him talking. We were a big hitter, and ground control was a control robot, and he just had to survive that fight. Which he tapped out, which was a good call. If he hadn't tapped, I probably would have done even more damage to his robot, which would have been more time in the pits. And when I first saw that robot, I thought, I'm going to turn this robot inside out. Because I'm like, we got a big hit. We're going to get big hits. We're going to do big damage. Yeah, this is, let's see, can I go back to... This is the front plate from them. They signed it all. I gave them some stickers. I told them when I get some proper like offbeat merch, I'm gonna reach out to them and ship them some stuff. On right here, it's hard to see, but they wrote "nice kill." They wrote "congrats," like they all signed it. I'm super happy with them, with that fight, with the performance of our robot. I'm super excited to see where that team goes. They're currently doing a lot of CAD work on their robot. And I know what you're thinking. Computer-aided design? No. Cardboard-aided design. They actually have like cereal box cutout templates for every part of their robot that they just put on a piece of sheet metal. This is just roofing sheet metal. But they put that template on the sheet metal, the UHMW, whatever material it is that they need to cut for the robot, and they hand cut it. That robot was hand built. Everything on there, they cut themselves, they made themselves. They didn't 3D print. Oh, they did 3D print some stuff, but they didn't, laser cut anything. I told them, check out Send Cut Send is one of the services that a lot of teams use as a sponsorship and everything. I told them about, Fusion 360 has a free hobbyist version of it, so they can go and make a better version. Ground Control V3 could probably go make a deep run. That whole team has the passion to continue to do well. They want to do well. They want to have fun. I get that vibe of we're just here to have fun, and if we win, we win. And they did go and win their next fight, which I'm, congrats to them. They put up a good fight, even with us. So let's go ahead and So that was Offbeat versus Ground Control V1. That was a preliminary fight. We won that fight, which means we got a bye into round 2 of the single elimination bracket. So our second fight here, let's make it all biggins. Oh, I should probably switch to this. So our second fight here was against Ankle Breaker. Ankle Breaker is a horizontal spinner, full body bar spinner. It's built by some high school kids. I got to talk to their teacher, or their coach. I mean, he's a teacher. I'm not sure. I forget exactly. I talked to them extensively pre-fight, about their robot, about the direction they're going and everything, and I gave them some pointers and some tips. Their weapon motor is only slightly smaller than the motors we use to drive Offbeat. So you can see them over here. They basically were just 2 wheels with this U-shaped bar spinner. And I remember turning to Price, and this white bit right here underneath the mouse pointer, that's their LiPo battery. They have no armor. The whole idea is they get this spinner up going so fast, you have to go through their weapon before you can hit them. I turn to Price and say, I want that LiPo. Let's go ahead and watch this fight here in Cage 5.
Horizontal spinner design.
So there goes Horse Trunk, immediately blocking them up. I got a little bit of a hit there. There goes a wheel. There goes part of their weapon.
Weapon impacts.
4, 3, 2.
And they're stuck up against the wall. I get them unstuck from the wall. They're trying to move, but they're high centered at this point. So what it is, they have 2 wheels on either side of the robot, and then they have 2 screws, or 2 feet or sliders or something that stick down in the front and the back to keep the robot from tilting so it can stay level. I knocked that one wheel off, and the robot rocked over to this side, so that other wheel was just barely touching the ground. And so now I'm just bullying them around. I believe this is a chunk of UHMW that I ripped off of them. You can see our weapon is spinning. They're sitting there. They're trying to get their weapon up to speed. They just can't. And if we actually go back, yeah, there it is. It's kind of spinning. You can kind of see there's their weapon motor right there. And, I showed them how our setup was, so that way, again, these are high school kids. They're learning. I think this is their first time. They were having fun. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to get to the part that I need to see, but Price driving our mini bot, still using the shorter EHMW body. getting in there, blocking them up while I'm getting the weapon up to speed and dealing with the suboptimal drive of our robot.
Attempt to double or nothing back in it here.
And right there.
Is from early Yi.
Right there. That's my favorite hit. This is like my favorite hit of the fight. That right there, that's their lipo. I'm just going back frame by frame. Actually, can I do, it's what, this? Yeah. Yeah, it's a J. So here they are. Right, I got a hit there. They're getting the weapon back up to speed. We're getting in position. Horse Conk is out of the way at this point because I'm just bullying them. Right there. That hit knocked their lipo out. You can see that's where the wheel was mounted. Their lipo went flying. And I turned to them and said, I saw the lipo and went, can you guys still drive?
Ankle breaker is from early Yi, from the VBs. True rookie, first bot, first ever competition.
I actually got stuck inside of them right there. And then they tap out.
Oh, there we go.
Wow.
The winner is double or nothing.
I don't believe that is accurate.
The winner is double or nothing.
Yeah, they kept calling the voice of God was a little wonky there. But, wrong one. But yeah, that lipo went out. I shut the weapon off and was just trying to like drive around to show that I still had control, waiting for them to get counted out. And again, our twitchy controls, I drove right into them and got two of my wheels stuck inside the robot. Now, they tapped out. I was able to drive away, but I shut the weapon off because I knew they don't have a battery in their robot anymore. There's no way they're going to be able to function at all. So, again, I went and I told them the same thing I told the ground control team. You know, here's the tools and resources that we use to make our robot. Maybe, you know, your mileage will vary, but, you know, maybe you can use those tools to, you know, design your a better version. And one of the things I suggested for them, I said, you know, if you got smaller wheels, you could make your robot shorter, which means your weapon wouldn't have to be this big, heavy T-bar. It could be more of a lawnmower blade that maybe just droops a little on the ends, and then you could put some armor on there. So you go smaller, maybe even 4 wheels. I showed them, we have a previous design of Offbeat that was kind of Bloodsport-esque inspired. It was basically Offbeat, but it would be going this way, so the wheels would actually be on the sides. And then we were going to have a ridiculously large overhead spinner. We opted not to do that because that frame was going to be a pain in the ass to build because it was going to have to be laser cut. Then we were going to have to hand fold all of these folds and weld it. So, all right, so our next fight, this was the one that I feel, this is the one that I believe there was some controversy and some back and forth. And we'll explain it after the fight. We're going to watch this entire fight. I'm just going to let it go and let the commentators do their thing. And then when we get to the end of the fight, we'll talk about it.
Where you have to ask if you could touch somebody's spot. Eva was the bot that I walked up to and immediately had to touch their wheels. They look so squishy.
Yeah, it's funny. EVA is a type of foam.
Oh.
And I immediately thought, well, oh, it must be squishy.
Yeah, their wheels just felt so. I just had to reach
For
out.
this fight, they do know
I
we're
immediately
still
was like,
using
Remy, I am
the
so
short.
sorry. May I touch your bot after I
Sure,
already
get
touched my
consent.
wheels?
That's important.
Yeah.
But I entirely see.
He said the same thing. He was like, I get it. They look real. You just want to squish them. I get it. I totally understand. But it.
And actually, before we go too far, shameless self-promotion. That is Seth Schaefer, I believe is his last name. I'm going to have a link to his web store. You can buy that robot. You can buy a kit of that robot. The body is a solid block of UHMW that is machined. And then it comes with like servos, motors, electronics, all that stuff. You just have to decorate it yourself. It is a phenomenal little kit. Like, I'm tempted to buy one just to do it, like just to have one because it's a good kit. Great fighting robot, great driver. He has a fantastic YouTube channel, better than mine. If you want to get more information about combat robotics, like the design and build and stuff, his channel is a great resource. All right, let's get back to this fight.
It's a beautiful bot. It kind of looks like a Nickelodeon product from like the 90s
It
Nickelodeon.
does, which I think is
Yeah, let's
why
put
I'm
the-
so
yeah,
drawn
here goes
to
the fight.
it. It's 100% something you would see on a Cartoon Network commercial.
Like a secondary weapon should be a slime of some sort.
Yeah. Let's see what Super Soaker would make if they had a Norwalk competitor.
So we have Offbeat facing off against Shameless Self-Promotion, a Seth Schaefer robot. By the way, Seth is really into the alliterative.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, if you somehow decide to design 1.5 million robots,
Yes.
somehow decide that you want to bring them to Norwalk and compete time after time again, and you still have gas in the tank, why not throw it into creative names?
Gotta love it. And this one is a promotion for Seth's Combat Robotics store where he sells combat robotics parts and solutions. He also has one of the best and most informative YouTube channels as far as combat robotics for beginners.
does.
And really great resource for the community there.
Not to interject, Kyle, but I saw a what I believe is a weapon belt go flying
you're
in
right.
that last exchange. I think that might be the end of that horizontal spinner.
On Offbeat. And is it me, or is the lifter stuck in the up position on Shameless Self-Promotion?
It is, but it is still moving, Kyle. So
Yeah.
despite the fact that the robot might not be able to lift properly, it can at least wiggle waggle. And it doesn't seem like it, but that could be all the difference, later in the match. Oh, it's almost all the way down.
There we go.
Oh,
Nice
yeah.
lift there. Beautiful. Yeah, it seems like their weapon's back in full position,
Sometimes
doing what
you
it's
just
supposed to
get
do.
a bit of schmoo, you get something in there, and it gets locked up, and all it takes is a little percussive maintenance.
Yeah, in this arena, it might be some sawdust, it might be some aluminum, it might be, who knows?
Yeah, at home we call that schmerble sometimes.
Schmerble.
Yeah, just a
delicious.
bit of schmerble in there.
Yeah, that sounds like a great topping I want on my pizza.
It does. I feel like maybe I went to a Greek restaurant and I ordered my pita with a little extra schmerble. So here we go. We're going to see that lift is being attempted, but when your competitor is lodged in a wall like that, it's kind of hard to lift them.
Yeah, you don't really have a lot of leverage going in the right direction for you there.
3-bot pileup is resolved.
One thing that I've been just so
there it
impressed
goes.
with today
There's
is
your little wiggly wobbly lift.
Seth's driving capabilities with this bot. Normally we see Seth with these giant vertical spinners. He's not really able to showcase what an excellent driver he is.
Yeah, I mean, I talked to him this morning. I said, how you feeling about this bot? How's it driving? He's like, well, I don't have anything to hit him with, so I don't really know what I'm going to do. It's a complete change of pace for him, and I think he's doing incredibly well considering.
He really is. All right, so that's the end of this match. These bots end in a loving embrace.
That was probably the worst that Offbeat has driven the entire weekend. And that wasn't, me being a bad driver. That was the robot not functioning the way the way we intended it to do. And a big part of that was on these little gears here. There is a set screw that holds the gear to the motor. I could see at one point when he had us over here up against the wall, I could see through the frames, the bottom of the frame. Oops, wrong one. I could see that motor turning, but not the gear. And that told me that set screws come loose and that gear is not turning. And that was why you occasionally saw the robot just not driving at all on one side and then driving on that side again. What I did when I put those on is I actually filed a flat spot for that set screw to bite into and then Loctited them on. And I think what happened is that screw came just loose enough, or got the axle, or the gear slid just enough on the axle that it was only intermittently biting into that, and the screw was just loose enough that it was sliding on that shaft and occasionally would get grip in that hole. I don't know. This fight, though, it was the one that has the controversy, I think. And the reason is, we got back. They never announced who won the fight. We go back to the pits and we start doing repairs. You know, pull the robot apart. You know, I'm gonna pull everything apart, recharge the battery, fix that drive, get the robot ready to fight again, even if I'm eliminated. This was the second fight of the single elimination tournament at this point. This is our third fight of the day. We are 2-0 at this point, and we don't know if we won this fight or not. You know, what's going on? So we're up in the pits, and no one knows who won the fight. I'm updating the bracket, the challenge bracket, as I'm checking it and everything, and I see that Shameless Self-Promotion won. It was pushed up to the next thing. I said, okay. So I take one of our offbeat pogs, and I go over to the Seth's table. I say, hey, Seth, I just looked at the challenge. It looks like you won that fight. Here you go. And as I'm about to hand it to him, I see he has the Google spreadsheet up that has the scores. All of the scores. So many scores. In fact, I'm like, you know what? I need to pull it up right now. So it's kind of hard to see because this Google spreadsheet, I can't even copy and paste from it. Right here. Shameless Self-Promotion versus Offbeat. Judge 1 scored it for Offbeat, giving us aggression. Yeah, aggression controlled damage. So Judge 1 gave us, I just lost it. It's right here. Gave us 4 points of aggression, him 1 point of aggression, because we were constantly hitting him, chasing him, pushing him around with our mini bot and with our main bot. Control 4-2 us, right? He was pushing us around, he got us pinned, but there were more times where we were pushing him. I feel, okay, there weren't more times, but it feels like we maybe were slightly in more control. And definitely gave Shameless Self-Promotion the damage. He disabled our weapon and our drive stopped working. But 5 points versus 8 points. We obviously were scored. We were obviously scored, right? 4 points for aggression, 4 points for control, 1 point for damage. He got 1 point for aggression, 2 points for control, 5 points for damage. That's 2. That's 8 and 8. But we won. We scored 2 categories, so we got these 2 categories gave us Judge A. Judge B, same story. 4 points of aggression, 4 points of aggression, 4 points of control, 1 point of damage. The other judge, and this is probably a little closer to what I think it probably should have been, but gave it to Shameless Self-Promotion. That's hard. That's a tongue twister. But the judge's scorecard says split decision for Offbeat. And I saw that, and I looked down and goes, that's weird. Let's go talk to the pit managers. So we go over to the pit managers, and we go, hey, this scorecard seems weird that the challenge says Seth won that fight. The scorecard in the judges sheet says we won that fight. Can we get clarification from an event organizer, from you guys, as to who actually won that fight? And they said, okay, we'll call Gil. Gil is one of the people running the event. And a few minutes later, one of them comes over and says, no, Offbeat did in fact win that fight. We said, okay, thank you for the clarification. I feel bad. That was a very close fight. I would have had a very, very hard time judging that. And another thing, too, that came up, Price got a text message from one of the judges, who I believe is somebody from Team Horizon or was somebody else that Price knew. Because Price texted them and said, we lost our fight, we're eliminated. And they go, no, you won that fight. We judged it for you guys. And she goes, what? And then she comes running up. And at this point, we've already seen the score sheet on that spreadsheet. And we're talking to the officials like, what's going on here? So, Seth, great fight, beautiful robot. I wish it had been double elimination because you could have come back and done much better if it was double elimination. And that's one of the things I don't like about single elimination is he had a good fight. I feel bad. We won. I'm great, happy, yay, won. But I feel bad that, you know, it was such a tough fight. But if it was double elimination, he could have come back and maybe had a rematch against us and then really dominated us and won. So we're going to move on to our next fight. At this point, we are 3-0. We are plowing through this bracket. And Price, Robert, and I are looking at each other like, whoa. And I think at this point, most of the other Vegas teams or other Vegas bots were dropping. I think Double Nothing had been eliminated at this point. Red Rocket was out. I think Ruler was still in. And I think Cookie was still in at this point. So let's go ahead and take a look at this fight. You can see we've switched to the longer wedge with all of these forks for our fight against Mr. Scrubbles. So let's go ahead and get this fight going. One of my favorite big hits is in this fight.
And now it looks like we're going into Cage 3, where Hannah,
this is the first time we're also in the big boy
box.
box.
Cage 3 is where the chaos happens.
Next in Cage 3,
I love fighting egg
Mr.
beaters.
Scrubbles
Love that name.
Ooh.
Offbeat.
Oh, wow. Offbeat got the whole tribe here.
All right, real quick. Here's me. There's Price. There's my mom. And I think that's Robert right there. One of the reasons why I love fighting egg beaters. Undercutters hit those little fork things that egg beaters have, and I bend them. Mr. Scrubbles has these big, chunky, almost ablative armor ones. And I went like, oh, that's going to be tough to get through. Let's get back to the fight.
Mr. Scrubbles also deserves some screams. I love Mr. Scrubbles as well.
So we are now officially into round
7,
4.
6, 5, 4.
I don't know why they had that
2,
stroboscope.
Fight.
Spectroscope
Robots
thing.
fight.
Beautiful.
Big
And
hit,
there we
big
see
hit.
Mr. Scrubbles' patent aggression throughout the day, getting the better of all.
We're just going weapon to weapon because that's the only thing I know how to do, apparently.
Such a dynamic competition here.
Now, Mr. Scrubbles is hung up on our mini-bot. I'm driving circles just to be like, look, our mini-bot's got him pinned, and I'm driving. This is my arena, boys. Mine. Get out of here.
Wow. Mr. Scrubbles seems to be... Oh, there we go.
Yeah, got a little trap behind the mini bot there.
That right there. That right there. Can I go back frame by frame? Let's watch that hit again. Look at poor Offbeat. All right, so this was definitely a case of we're gonna go weapon to weapon because I have a big weapon and I'm gonna feed you to it.
Oh!
I love that. I love the way Offbeat just lands. Mind you, this arena floor is about my waist height. Offbeat was eye level with me. The weapon is still spinning. The weapon has enough gyroscopic precession and everything that Offbeat just sort of was wobbling like this in front of me. So I just see Offbeat going, funk. Gotta watch that again.
Mr. Scrubbles seems to be... Oh, there we go.
Yeah, got a little trap behind the mini bot there.
Oh!
Whoa, that's a massive hit from Mr. Scrubbles, launching Offbeat clear into the air.
I love how non-intimidating the name Mr. Scrubbles is.
Yeah, but
But it is still action-packed.
He's cleaning
There he goes. He's eating up our wheels at this point.
He's taking all the.
But the
all
body's
dirt away.
still just, the robot's just holding together. The weapon belt is falling off.
Is very intimidating.
I would not mess with
And I
this
believe
one.
at this point he has
certainly wouldn't
broken
mess
one
with
of our
Mr.
drive
Scribbles.
sides. But he's now hung up on
Strategy
our
here.
mini bot.
It seems to be
The
paying
mini-bot's
off.
doing a wonderful job just keeping them pinned up.
Mr.
What would you call
Scrubbles.
this mini-bot? This mini-bot's like half of a Smeedle kit.
Calling it a mini bot seems wrong.
Yeah, that's a fair point. That is, for a mini-bot, it is large and in charge. It is really more of a multi-bot.
He just did all that right there.
Wow. Man, these hits from Mr. Scrubbles are so terrifying.
This is a high impact matchup right here. This is essentially working as like a rake to lock in Mr.
You can hear that high-pitched wail. That meow, meow, meow. That's Offbeat's drive. Just me going full stick with that drive. That hum is Mr. Scrubble's weapon, but Offbeat's drive has this high-pitched screech it makes. It's like, it's just an angry robot.
It's working sometimes and sometimes it's not. And that's how the cookie crumbles.
There goes my warranty.
Cage 3 has seen it all today. And again
Christ,
with
just
the lip.
driving both of us around.
Look at this. This is like a ballet.
At this point, I think this is where Mr. Scrubbles died. Because you can see his weapons moving and one wheel's driving, but then nothing.
The half a
The weapon's
Smeedle
on,
kit,
but he can't.
the
His wheels aren't
mini-bot.
going, and he's stuck on top of our mini
I
bot.
love how flexy it is. It's so much fun. Yeah,
It is.
It's. I mean, that's duct tape armor. If you don't have the weight for real armor, you go with duct tape armor.
Yep.
So talking about this tape right here on our mini bot, that's not armor. That's holding the batteries in. The way you turn on and off free throw is you open up this top panel and then there's just the battery. You plug the battery in and the robot's on. Well, Norrock's like, well, that's not safe because you have to take off like 6 screws to take this top panel off. So we put the top panel on. We cut a hole just big enough that you can get your fingers in and get your fingers in and connect those wires. But now those wires are exposed. You have to cover them up somehow. So we put the tape over the wire holes to protect them, to keep them from being exposed. And that's what that tape is for. It's not armor. It's battery cover.
And it's surprisingly effective.
Mr. Scrubble's still stuck on a bit of a pivot there.
Offbeat, captained by Zach Church
That's me.
from Team Frickin' Awesome.
Team
I gotta tell you, this mini-bot is doing a lot
But you can
of
see, if
heavy
you actually look, you
lifting
can see
for
he's
Offbeat.
moving his stick.
Again, Mr. Scrubble.
You know, he's got a wheel. He's
three-round
turning it,
bot,
and his robot's just not driving.
He said that his color scheme came first, and then his sister.
And I don't know if
said, "Hey,
that's
that
just
looks like
a
Mr.
battery
Scrubble's
died or
energy."
something else, but his robot was not functioning in the last 15 seconds of
Yeah,
that
where is
fight.
Mr. Scrubbles? Now I want to look this up.
Can I get it on Amazon?
That moment of relief, like, oh, the fight's over.
No, it says it's a car wash somewhere.
I have
Oh, wait.
I think I'm
It's a
getting
second
Mr.
one here.
Scrubbles confused
No.
with. Can you go to images?
Oh yeah, that's there. There's.
That's what it is. That's what I visualize it
Ah,
as.
like the
You know,
scrubbing
the face,
bubbles.
the happy face with
Yeah.
the scrubs on it.
It's
Yeah.
scrubbing bubbles, but
I didn't realize this was going to be a
TBD on the
long video.
official
Oh, well.
title name.
I'm sorry. What did you say?
TBD.
TBD.
Oh, I thought you said CBD on the official name.
Oh, no. No, I did not say that.
Some weird product placement going
Yeah,
on here
it's
today.
yeah.
So right there, you can see my thumb is on a switch. I actually use the throttle lever on the controller, the transmitter, to run the weapon. That switch there is my invert switch. If my robot's upside down, I can quickly flip that switch and invert the controls. This was the first time I was using that, and I was practicing it, and he kept getting me inverted, so I kept having to turn it on.
That was definitely a tight battle, though.
Got it.
That
It was a lot of back and forth. I love to see mini bots doing that kind of work because so often you see them just get obliterated immediately.
Yeah.
When they're an integral part of your strategy and they pay off like that, it's beautiful.
I think that fight very clearly would have been Mr. Scrubbles if it was not for the mini-bot on offbeat doing so much
Yes.
lifting.
That mini-bot really did a lot of the work, and it's interesting. I haven't noticed. I think that's the first time where I really saw the mini-bot carrying quite the load, right?
Yeah.
Like doing a lot of the work. Most of the time, the mini-bot is like, I don't want to. I mean, sometimes it's like in the way, you know.
Often it is.
Or sometimes it just gets completely destroyed.
Well, you know, there's a word for that. They call those nuisance bots.
Yeah.
And they're there, you know, to distract or to get in the way or just kind of
Right.
take, you know, be a distraction. When they're much more in the fray, it's a whole beautiful thing that we like to celebrate.
Right.
All right, so let's see how the judges came
Decision
out
here.
on that. Let's see what they say. It looks like we have a unanimous decision for
Offbeat.
offbeats, but let's
Offbeat
be
was
honest.
right on target.
Minibot doing most of the lifting in that match. Nice job for them.
Beautiful.
Mr. Scrubble
beautiful.
still did great work.
Mr.
Good
Scribbles
job,
did.
guys. I'm sorry, I can't help it.
All right, so that's Team Freaking Awesome
want
and
everyone
Zach
to know that
Church.
they did a great
will
job.
be moving forward.
I love you guys.
Mr. Scribbles put up a good fight. Like, just like what Kyle said, if it wasn't for our mini bot, that was all Mr. Scribbles' fight. And again, this goes back to Offbeat was having drive issues with those ESCs. Our weapon system was not as reliable as it has been in the past. We made a bunch of changes, before a big competition that didn't necessarily negatively impact us, but I don't think we had enough time to really dial it in as much as we could have. We probably could have gotten a much better weapon system with our configuration. Another big problem, though, and it was obvious in that fight, this is one of our pulleys. This isn't the one that was in that fight. I gave that one to the captain of Mr. Scrubbles. But when it is on here, you can see that it is very, very close to this armor plate. When you put a belt on there, this armor plate's peeled off a little bit as well, but when you put a belt on there, the belt sticks out 1/10 of a millimeter past the front armor plate. Mr. Scribbles was able to hit that and pop the belt off and then shred this top piece. We'll get to the robot that did that damage in a bit. But Mr. Scribbles did, yeah, they definitely put in a good fight. Our mini-bot was carrying the load for a good part of these fights. I think the next fight against... and actually, I think if I recall correctly on the judge's scorecard, I'm trying to find it again. It was a unanimous decision. They did give, all the judges gave damage to Mr. Scrubbles. Although, actually, one of them gave us damage. Oh, you know why? Because we had not, their robot was not functioning at all in the last 10 seconds of that fight. But we had damage, aggression, and control across. We only had 2 points of control or of damage, but we had damage and aggression across the board. I like one Judge B. I don't know who Judge B is. For control, gave us full points of control. It was close. The scores still come out very close, but it was a unanimous decision for us, as you saw on the little scorecard thing there. But that was the scary fight. That was the one where, like, oh boy. This next fight, though, against Spectroscope. I keep wanting to say stethoscope. Spectroscope. This is a beautiful robot. We made some jokes in the while we were loading them in. And there he is. I was clicking the wrong one. We were making some jokes. Our weapon is made out of AR-500. And we have an aluminum front plate. He has an AR-600 weapon. And we both go, he's got what? Or Price goes, he's got 100 more ARs. And I'm like, that's so many more. So, yeah, you see Spectroscope over here in the corner. Horizontal weapon. His weapon is almost center line with our armor package. Big foam wheels. these long cleats on the back. These are carbon fiber. And then us over here. I love the fact that our mini bot free throw takes up the entire corner when we're parked like this. So let's go ahead and get this fight going.
Ooh,
All right, so here we go
sending it
to
over.
box 2.
Now watch right here. Watch right here. What's about to pop up?
Next in cage 2, 3-pound weight class.
Winner qualifies for the
Undefeated
World
bracket
Championships.
Semifinals.
Let's go.
So the winner qualifies for the NHRL November
So
World
there's
Championships.
my team, all of us, including Robert sitting in the
hyped.
back.
5, 4, 3.
Such a
Two,
that spectroscope is such a good-looking
Fight,
robot.
robots, fight.
Spectroscope versus Offbeat.
Offbeat really is so fun to watch with this mini bot. Mini bot is a
Big hits. They're getting wobbly. We're still planted. Our weapon
even
is
calling
still
it a mini
going.
bot sounds wrong. I'll say
yeah.
that again.
Big floppy Smee style mini bot.
Okay, wait. I gotta go back a little bit. This right here, this, like my favorite hit probably of the day. The Mr. Scubbles fight where we went and bump, that was a great hit. That was my favorite hit of that fight. This right here is probably my favorite move that we pulled off, and I'm rewinding it right back to right about here because Price has Mr. Scrubbles up against the wall. The weapon is in the air. I noticed this, and I'm very slow on the controls because I know we're super twitchy, so I'm being very, very careful with the controls. Very slow and methodically. And you can see the weapon is going. Offbeat's face is angry. There's a big chunk there and there from Spectroscope taken out of the robot, but we're still functioning. And I just come around and
That's what it should be called.
bam! Right into that carbon fiber.
Beautiful hit
Ooh.
there.
See, they really lock him in with that mini bot.
The Spectroscope doing an excellent job pinning them in the corner and getting a volley of hits there. This is a really great back and forth match between two horizontal spinners. Spectroscope landing on top of the mini bot now, and then bam, nice hit to the side of the bot from Offbeat.
Can Spectroscope keep it going here?
Again, smoke from my belt, and I get that
That's a
pin,
They
and I'm
get
just
to hold
holding.
that
I literally
for
had my thumbs
exactly
off
10
the
seconds
sticks.
before they have to let go, but that counts as control and aggression
Oh, the
points.
countdown is
But
going
Spectroscope's not moving now.
And now they have to let them go. You cannot hold that pin longer than 10 seconds. But Spectroscope seems to be having a hard
I
time
got the
getting
weapon
off
spinning up
the
again, and then the
wall,
belt popped
shaking
off.
themselves loose
So I got
with
one
the
last
weapon,
hit with it
but
just
I don't
coasting.
see either of those wheels moving.
And our drive
Might
side
just be
broke
slower
after
charge here.
after
There
that
we go. Back in
exchange.
action. Definitely not moving as quickly as Offbeat is.
No, they are having intermittent drive, intermittent weapon. There is something electronically not
Offbeat.
connected properly within Spectroscope. Don't know exactly what's happening.
Offbeat looks like it's trying to gain traction on its regular bot there.
Or they're just dancing.
Oh,
So, remember I said about the tape earlier? You can see right here, those are the wires. At one point, they unplugged the battery on one side of free throw. At this point, our drive is down on this side, and Kyle goes, maybe he's dancing. Yeah, I was dancing. I was celebrating because I'm like, that robot's not moving. That robot's not moving. You see Robert just like, oh, and then me just head empty, only robot.
or they're dancing. You know
But really, watch this side. Watch Price's reaction here in a minute.
what? The mini bot ready to roll,
having
like
a good
just
time.
waiting for it to go back so we could knock it into place.
So this is the unstick attempt.
Spectroscope still struggling to have any sort of mobility here.
I really want to know what
Yeah,
happened
I
with
hear it now. That is the
Spectroscope.
count out from the referee.
What broke?
It does seem like Spectroscope is going to be counted out, which would
Look
mean
at Price. Look at Price.
that the semifinals are going to be populated by
Wow!
Offbeats. Yeah.
Offbeat! Look at the excitement!
This team was not expecting this.
You can
can
feel it in the room. Their reactions are just
winner
gold.
Offbeat.
So
I'm pretty sure they use these
excited.
reactions
I
too
love
in the
it. I'm so
outro
pumped for them.
Oh my goodness.
the stream.
So
Wow.
This is team
That was a
freaking
knockout.
Awesome and Zach Church. There we go. Big hug. Super happy with that performance. Once again, Minibot putting in the work for Team freaking Awesome and Offbeat.
Quick replay here of what we
That
just
right here,
saw
right
go
here.
down
Boom!
these key
Just that
moments.
hooking around the mini bot like that.
Offbeat kind of just had this the whole time.
I'd say
I
weapon
can't-
to weapon, these bots are pretty even. Maybe a little bit of advantage to Spectroscope, but
I just find this mini bot to be genius.
that's
I
so
really
smart,
do.
isn't it? Yeah.
Because it's going to be so hard to sustain the width of that.
Unique designs, right? That's
Yeah, that was Spectroscope definitely had that in those weapon-to-weapon exchanges. They had a bigger, heavier, faster weapon. We just hit them more, but I love that we had that hook coming around. That's exactly how Offbeat is supposed to work with a mini bot. And that means that Offbeat has qualified for the November finals, guys. We are qualified for the November finals. We've got 2 more fights to go in this video, and it's already an hour long. I apologize for this video being really long, but like, So, yeah, they did significant damage to our front plate. They did that shaft did snap in that fight, and I had 1 more motor, put it in. We actually have a full second functioning Offbeat. And we're like, well, this first one's still mostly working, so let's just take what's working off of the functioning one and put it on the still functioning one to make it keep functioning. So let's go on to the next video. Look at this.
Okay.
So these are the bots that have qualified for the November final. This is Kickstart, Offbeat, Puka, and Wicked Twista. So excited to see these bots that have already qualified. We are going to see them go against each other now and see who qualifies for the finals.
Going to cage 3 now.
Speaking of who qualifies for finals,
Next in cage 3, Puka versus Offbeat.
If we are judging by how these bots looked at the end of their last match, I would be very concerned for David Small and Puka. They were not
That's for sure.
very functional.
7, 6, 5.
I'm so excited for this one right now.
3, 2, 1.
10
I like. Let's scroll back for a second. I like that stat that came up.
On Puka. They were not
That's for sure.
very functional.
7,
So yeah, Puka was not
6.
running very well after its last win. And David Small, again, everyone at this competition, fantastic. David Small, fantastic person. 10% of fans predicted that Puka would make the final. 5% of fans predicted Offbeat would even make it this far. Not even to the finals. This far. We had a 0% prediction that we were going to get past 4th place. And right now, we're fighting for that position.
5.
I'm so excited for this one right now.
3, 2, 1.
10% of them predict Puka to win.
Robots fight.
Only 5% of fans predicted Offbeat to win this one.
There's our weapon. Now, he's underneath us and actually chewing up. This is damage right here. All this paint scratched off in the sticker. He messed up our Malice sticker, but not our Titanic takedown sticker.
Wow.
Offbeat's already locking them in there.
I mean, this is a very dominant performance so far from Puka.
Now, as I said earlier, if you hit those corners, you basically snap our weapon shafts. He hit both of our corners and got us pinned. Like, I couldn't get out of that corner. I couldn't get out of that
a lot
position.
of hits.
They have
And you can see the robots
kept
twitching.
in that corner and bobbling them up in the air with that very powerful
Wow.
shot.
And now he's going after
Puka
Price,
taking
and I'm
on
just
the
like,
mini-bot.
I can't move.
Well, it
is
seems
a
like
tough-
they've wrecked Offbeat and they have nothing else to do but take out the mini-bot at this point.
Wow.
Yeah, Offbeat
The
trying
mini-bot
to...
is almost indestructible the way that it's bent.
Yeah, isn't that cool? Like the way that it just flexes to these hits.
It kind of, like, how do
You
you
can see I'm
even
flicking the
stop it?
sticks. I'm like, oh no.
All right, the countdown has started as the majority of Offbeat has been disabled.
Wow.
Knockout.
Yep.
Can I say I did not see this coming?
Wow, so Puka looked completely wrecked at the end of that last fight. Offbeat will still fight again for third place. Puka goes on to the finals. They will face the winner.
So I'm
of
looking at it, and at this
Kickstart
point, I could
versus
see not only were these gears snapped, but they had actually rotated and were wedged in between the wheels. One of them had fallen out, and I had to like pull it out of the box. I'm like, I need this to repair my robot for the next fight. But yeah, he got those first couple of hits right at the beginning that got us up into that corner on the wall. Yeah, they chewed up. I mean, that's that. All this and this, he got some really solid hits right there, and just all that force went this way and snapped that off. So now, spoiler, Puka went on to win the competition. He took home the golden dumpster. So I don't feel bad getting knocked out by him. I'm like, you know what? It seems fitting that the guy who won the overall competition is the guy who took me out. Now, at this point, we go back to the pits, right? And I'm looking at it and I go, well, these are the two motors from the Puka fight, and they no longer have shafts on them, so I have no way of putting that gear on. I pull the last one I have out of my box, and out of the old the spare Offbeat, and I put it in and go, yeah, I'm going to my next fight for fourth place with one motor. And we happen to find another one with like 3 minutes left on the clock. And I'm able to swap that motor out. I put it in, I test it, the robot drives just fine. Put it in the box, and that's where things go south. Put it in the box, drive to the corner, and I don't know exactly what happened. Maybe I flipped a wire and just wasn't paying enough attention, or what. But for our next fight against Wicked Twister,
By the way, shout out to Gainesville, Florida.
I'm just waiting for this to...
Shout out to
Get
Gainesville,
that.
I love
Florida.
Gainesville, Florida.
I love the Florida contingent when we get to bring them here. I love the fact that we have the Vegas contingent and the Florida contingent here at the same time. It really maximizes the chaos in the space.
Yes, yeah, it's
You
really,
gotta have it.
it's the only energy you can really match Florida energy with is Vegas.
It's Vegas energy, yeah.
Vegas?
That's the only way.
Maybe Alaska energy, maybe.
All right, guys, we're going over to cage 3 now. I'm sorry.
So at this point, Offbeat is barely functional. This side of the drive... Oh, you can't see because of there. This side of the drive keeps inverting. Either it's going forward or it's going backwards. It's very intermittent on whether or not it's functioning properly. And then Spoops had taken a significant amount of damage. Free Throw had taken a significant amount of damage to this side that we could not repair this side drive. So I'm operating with half a functioning drive, or with 1.5 functioning drives, and Free Throw has one drive side, and that's where the plastic knives came in. Wicked Twister is fully functional this fight.
All right, cage 2.
Next in Cage 2, Wicked Twister versus...
And you actually will be able to see
This
Offbeat
is for
struggling to
the
get out of its
third
corner.
8,
place
7,
in the
six,
beetle weight division, the
5,
3-pound division.
4, 3,
Both
2,
of these bots have
1.
already qualified for
Fight,
the November
robots,
finals.
fight.
This is to see who gets that third
I'm just
place
trying to
spot.
keep the armor facing and to keep the weapon running. I'm like I can't be aggressive because I can't control the robot as well as I
Robot
would
just
like
getting
to.
volleyed between these two bots right
The
now.
mini-bot almost getting stuck in between the two, but I see how that could benefit Offbeat in the long run.
Now the right side of that mini-bot's drive just not functioning all that well anymore.
No.
Both main robots driving just splendidly.
There goes a wheel,
Yeah, we're
and my armor plate
It
is
seems like
ripped
half
off.
of the-
There goes another wheel, and another wheel. I'm down to one wheel and the weapon.
good.
That is effectively the end of Offbeat.
It's still got a little bit of movement there, but not enough to keep
That
him
weapon
in the game.
is now dragging on the floor, though, so even if he is able
I'm really
to
just
get him
using the
it's not
one-wheel
gonna
drive and the
work
weapon,
as
just
fast as
hoping
it
that
used to.
Wicked
That's
Twister
one of the
breaks
major
himself.
design issues with an undercutter spinner like this.
But movement is movement.
Yeah, it's true. It may be able to stay alive long enough not for a count out to not happen, but it's
I
not
don't
going to be
know.
able to do much more than that.
Yeah, with no offensive
And at this point,
capabilities,
the
essentially
other
at this
gremlin
point,
had reared its ugly head for the
Twister
night.
just has to pick their shots and pick them apart.
We're almost at a minute 30 here. Let's see if we can get some movement from Offbeat. The
And now-
silence is an answer.
I love that Wicked Twister was just like, I'm pinning your mini bot. I'm done
Yeah,
with this
I'm done
thing.
with
Just
you."
stop. Just stop.
Countdown is going. All right,
Wow.
your third place winner in the Beetleweight division, Wicked.
So we won, or we didn't win. We placed fourth. we got fourth, which means we qualify for the World Championships in November. One of the things that had happened, and I noticed this going into the fight, and I went, this is going to be a problem. Our power switch is a little screw terminal right here, right? You turn that, it makes a contact, power flows. What's nice about it is it's not like a toggle switch that can just flip or rattle loose. What's bad about it is when you're turning it on, it can arc and carbonize the connectors in there. And I'm turning it on, turning it off, turning it on, turning it off all day long. It got to the point where this fight, I had to turn that screw on and off multiple times before it made contact and had power flowing and the robot would turn on. And then intermittently, while I'm turning the robot on, it's turning back off. That screw switch was done. It should not have been used in that fight. And, you know, ignoring our wheels falling off, that switch is what killed us. He hit us, and the switch wiggled. The screw was not tight, didn't have good contact. The switch wiggled, came loose, and the robot powered down. And there was nothing I could do. You know, had my wheels stayed on, or had that switch not, turned off, I probably could have kept just spinning around and crab walking with that one wheel. It's going bap, bap, bap. His weapon, I believe, was down at the end. I might be wrong, but I believe it was, in fact, down at the end. But yeah. This means we have to go back in November. Now, I'm not going to talk about the design changes we're going to make. This video is already way longer than what it should have been, and I have way more things I have to do today before I go back to work. I took Monday off specifically to recover from this. That's fine. But in the next video, I'm going to talk about the changes that we are making to Offbeat in terms of weapon reliability, drive reliability, maybe even electronics. Maybe I'll diagnose and that. So thank you guys for watching. Check out, if you need 3D printing done, check out teammalice.com for 3D printing. If you want to get to combat robots and you're looking for a kit, and you want a Beetleweight kit, check out Just Cuz Robotics, link in the description to them as well, for their shameless self-promotion kit, which is a fun kit. I held that frame and I'm like, oh, this is so nice. Such a nice frame. But yeah, check out future Norlock streams. I probably won't be on any of those until November. Also check out the Sin Shop stream, because I might be going over more in-depth stuff. Actually, I went pretty in-depth, but I might be going into more of that Q&A stuff come that stream later Monday, with the 30th. Yeah, today's the 30th. Today's the 2030th. All right, guys, this was long. I apologize for being long, but it was a long weekend. I will catch you all next time.